Hello everyone, I'm Andrea from Indonesia, and tonight I will be presenting a topic, or should I say an agenda, which is fighting against bullying among youths. So first I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Andrea Renina, and I am the president of Indonesia Youth Network, which is a nonprofit organization that aims to enhance and to educate the youth through diplomatic affairs and educational events. Now, I'm also a second-year student majoring branding in Prasetya Mulia University, which is one of the best business universities in Indonesia. Right, so let's start off with a fact. Now, according to UNICEF, half of the students aged 13 to 15 worldwide, around 150 million, reported having experienced bullying or a physical fight, which is really, really concerning through society. And like these students, I was a victim of bullying myself. But for my case, it happened during my elementary years from third grade to sixth grade. And I was mostly bullied to my weight. And I was very thin actually at the time due to having a high metabolism. And I was discriminated to the extent where my assistant teachers at school would even defend a bully, which is bad. And during fifth grade, I remembered one of my assistant teachers saying that I was weak when I was sent home due to being sick in the middle of school. So yeah, it was that bad. The bullying was that bad to the extent where I skipped school because I couldn't take the bullying. And consequently, I suffered from self-esteem issues and social anxiety, and I even have problems seeing my self-image and worth and where I stand in society. So that's pretty much my case, and I believe that bullying is a really concerning issue in society, and it is actually a never-ending cycle because once a person bullies, the victim could eventually bully others, and the cycle repeats. So moving on to the question, why do people bully others? There are actually a lot of motives. Most of you will think it's due to social issues and insecurities, or maybe some of you might think that they bully just because they want to look cool. Well, yes, all of them are correct. Now, I've conducted a survey through my social media platforms, and so far, here are the answers of the respondents. So let's just go through it. The first one says because they feel insecure about themselves. And here we have jealousy issues, which is also true. And there is one saying to project their frustrations about their insecurities, and they feel powerless in new situations, so they harass to feel strong. And one even said that the reason why people bully others is because it's a defense mechanism, or should I say a coping mechanism, which is to let people know that they're cool or alpha enough. And here we have, because they feel good if they get social approval or validation, which is also true. And one even said, it's fun and it gives the bully endorphins when achieving a higher status in their minds through bullying. And because they have been a victim themselves in the past. And last but not least, lack of tolerance, ignorance, and lack of education of other groups in society. So that's pretty much the reasons why people bully others. Now I'm going to explain here the different types of bullying that are commonly found within our society and within the youth. So here we have verbal, cyber, physical, body shaming, and social. And I'm going to explain to you one by one. So first off, we have verbal. Now, verbal bullying is a type of bullying that involves name calling, teasing, inappropriate sexual comments, sexual harassment, and taunting, threatening to cause harm. And the second here we have cyberbullying, which is a type of bullying that is usually found within our social media platforms. And it is also one of the common types of bullying, since in this age and in this era, we're living in a society where almost all of us use social media. Now, the third one here we have physical bullying. It is actually a violent type of bullying activity that involves physically hurting or inflicting pain to the victim. So this might involve hitting, slapping, punching the victim, kicking, or whatever, you name it, to inflict pain on a victim and to just degrade the victim. And fourth here, we have also a common type of bullying, which is body shaming. So it's actually, it could be verbal or through cyberbullying, and it particularly targets your body figure or your feature. And yeah, it may appear to be harmless, but it can also cause self-esteem issues to a person whom you're commenting on. And just remember, guys, their body is their business, and we should respect and embrace all body types. And fifth, last but not least, we have social bullying. So yeah, social bullying is a type of bullying, and actually cyberbullying counts as social bullying. It is also one of the most common bullying activities in society that happens to the youth. Now, here are some examples of social bullying. It involves spreading rumors or even fake rumors to people to damage a person's reputation or impression towards others about the victim. And this also includes turning and excluding someone out of a group or forcing someone to exclude the victim out of a group. And even cyberbullying, yes, as I mentioned, cyberbullying is counted as social bullying. So yes, these are the types of bullying activities found within society and the youth. And we should all remember that these activities that I mentioned shall not be condoned nor supported, which leads us why and the consequences of bullying. All right, so I'm going to explain about the consequences of bullying here. There's actually a lot, but I'm just going to explain the serious ones. So yes, we have long-term emotional trauma and self-esteem issues, which I also experienced, and I believe a lot of the victims experience. And here we have psychological issues that are caused by bullying, in which these are social anxiety, withdrawals, depressions, eating disorders. Now, eating disorders also commonly caused because of body shaming, because they feel that their body isn't enough, or maybe their body feature isn't attractive enough. So yeah, this causes eating disorders and many more. Now, the fourth one, which is aggression. So here's the thing. When someone is bullied, and especially physically bullied, the thought will haunt them and cause them to have grudges and frustration. So they will be really, really stressed. And being aggressive is actually a form of a coping mechanism that victims use to release stress, which is really sad. So aggression here could lead the victim into bullying others, and which is when the cycle of which is when the cycle repeats itself. So yes, aggression can also create more victims, and which consequently also repeats the bullying cycle. So, okay. And the next one, we have decrease in academic and social performances. Now, when someone bullies you, obviously your mental and emotional state is really, really affected. And hence the ability to think properly or even to perform well in academics is really limited. Like you feel like you're restricted. So hence, this is why a lot of victims tend to show a decrease in their scores or academic performances. So the next time when you see someone with an unusual or a sudden decrease in their grades or academic performances, it's an indication that something is wrong, possibly due to bullying. And the next here, last but not least, it is one of the worst. It is actually the grave and worst consequence that a bully might have to face due to his or her actions. And this is sadly not thought about by bullies, and little that they know their words or actions could cause a loss of a life. Now, you may never know, but by bullying, the worst case is that the victim would have suicidal thoughts and trigger warning, but they may engage in self-harm or even suicide. So it's really dangerous, and it's really advised to stop bullying others. And yes, people may come and go, but just remember that words could last for a long time to people. And little do you know, it can also cause an impact for them in the long run. And also, just a little addition, it's not about what you say to others, but it's also how you make others feel about you. Now, the next one is that I'm going to explain, as victims, how do we deal and get past negative experiences from bullying? Now, what can I say about this is that the mean and hurtful things that people say are just insecurities of themselves that they project into other people that they perceive to be weaker than them. Now, I think most of you or a lot of you might think it this way, but society is like the survival of the fittest and but make it the coolest in society. And honestly, I'd be lying and I'd be a hypocrite if I say I haven't bullied anyone in my life because I've been in a bully and a victim's shoes. I've been there, I've done that. And I believe that most of you might think this way, but or maybe felt this way. I think that a lot of you can relate. So you find yourself in a completely new environment and society, and the only way to fit in is to fight your way through the hierarchy and show people that you're cool enough or you're strong enough for approval. Now, this is when the bullying happens. And this is also why people say people do bully others to feel good about themselves, to be validated by people around them. Okay, so here I am going to discuss the solutions to deal with negative effects through bullying. The first one is to realize that it isn't about you and it's completely not your fault. It's about them. It's about their insecurities, it's about their problems that they face, but they just happen to lash out and just project it on you through bullying. And also the second one, do not be afraid to speak up. And bullies get pleasure from intimidated victims. So they try hard to threaten you, to prevent you from telling anyone else. And that's when they get the power because you can't speak up to anyone else and because they think that you're afraid of them. So they feel powerful. So, in order to break the bully's power, do not be afraid to speak up. Just tell anyone you trust or anyone whom you think is mature to help you solve the problem of your bullying experiences and just tell them who is bullying you because that makes things better and it also make yourself better because telling someone what you feel it can also lighten up the emotional burden that you have because keeping it all in it actually is mentally and emotionally unhealthy. So yeah, do not be afraid to speak up. And thirdly, still be nice to others and show some empathy, guys, because you do not know what they went through behind closed doors. A bully might experience self-esteem issues or maybe depression. They might be depressed in their homes, but they just appear to be strong and bully others through their public as a coping mechanism. So be nice, have some empathy, and try to understand them if you were to be in their shoes. You might not know what they're going through, so have some empathy and understand them. And fourth is that focus on your strengths and love yourself for good qualities. And a bully might try to take that away from you. They might try to blind you from seeing the good in yourself, but you shouldn't. You should focus on your strengths and just ignore what the bully says because it's all about you. You define yourself, and you know the only person that knows you best is actually yourself. And don't let a bully try to take the best out of you. So yeah, and the fifth one is define yourself and stay true to your unique qualities. Sadly, a lot of victims they allow the bullies to define themselves who they are, and hence they fail to see what's the worth in them. So again, the only person who can define yourself is you, and you should stay true to your unique qualities because what's the best thing about you is the one that makes you unique, that sets you apart from others. And you should celebrate your differences. So that is all for the solutions of the negative effects of bullying. So, okay, I'm going to move on to the next part. Now, as a part of the youth, how can we fight against bullying? Now, okay, be tolerant and accept diversity wherever we are, because face it, wherever you go, you'll meet people with different backgrounds, and hence we should have tolerance towards others. We should educate ourselves from them, accept differences. And the second one is to practice empathy and be humble. Because, guys, honestly, having empathy and having humble is one of the best traits that any human could have. It allows you to understand others in a deeper level and to understand others what they're going through. It also applies to everyone. And the third is take action and report any bullying you witness to authorities. Now, here's the thing. Honestly, being a bystander is the worst person you can be. Remember that. Because when you witness a bullying act and just leaving it be, even though a victim cries for help or asks you for help, and you're not helping them, it just makes you as bad as a victim, or even worse, if they ask you for help, but instead you're recording it or documenting it for the sake of uploading it to your Instagram or any of your social media platforms, for the sake of making it viral, that's just bad as being a bully because you're supporting the bully instead of supporting the victim. Now, instead, what you can do is to report, to realize the situation and to report to the authorities, be it your teacher, to the security, or to someone whom you think is mature enough to handle the situation and to stop the bullying activity from happening. Okay, and also the fourth here, we have report any offensive comments on social media. So this applies to any cyberbullying activity that you witness. So whenever you see any offensive comments in anyone's account, be it your friends or yourself, they're reported. This is one of the best ways that you can do as a social media user. And the fifth one is learn to not tolerate any discriminatory insults, even if it is a joke. Because honestly, bullying is not a joke, and even how light it is, you shouldn't tolerate it. So learn not to tolerate and not to condone any bullying activities or insults. And last but not least, stand up for the victim. Don't stand up for the bully. It's obvious actually, because two is better than one. When you help a victim, you're actually helping a victim by person, by quantity. Two people versus one. Of course, you and the victim will win because you're supporting the victim. So that is pretty much how we can fight against bullying. Now, to top it off, honestly, personally saying that bullying for me is actually a blessing in disguise. And I'm seeing it from a brighter side here. I'm seeing it positively here. So bullying for me is actually a blessing in disguise, despite the emotional turmoils that I have to face. And actually, this has contributed me to become mentally stronger, and it has definitely became a part of my journey towards self-development. So if I can do it, why can't you? I believe that everyone has the power to see the good in everything that they experience, be it bad, be it good. Just see the positive side and just encourage yourself to learn from what you experience. So instead of saying what is happening to me, if you're bullied, don't ask yourself what's happening to me, but instead ask yourself, what is this trying to tell me? So change your perspective and make sure you learn from it no matter what you experience. And to top it off, I have a really awesome quote that I believe that you all can remember. And I think this seems familiar because I actually heard it from the Princess Diaries movies. I don't know if you watched it or not, but originally it's from Eleanor Roosevelt, and it says, "No one can make you inferior without your consent." And I think it's a really beautiful quote that you guys can take home and remember for the rest of your lives. Now, to close my presentation, I strongly believe that our generation is filled with aspiring change makers and that we can do and have the potential to make the world and society a better place and a better environment for us and for the future youths to live in. Now, and that we youths are to strive as a whole, raising awareness and to fight against bullying and discrimination should be one of our top should be one of the top of our generation's agenda. Now, I hope that my presentation would inspire you to end bullying and to create better youths. And to all of you who's watching my video or who's watching this, let's make society a better place for us and a future youths to live in. And remember, all it takes is a person to make a change, and that change starts from you. That is it for my presentation. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy and learn something.